From the moment the clip started circulating online, people couldn't stop talking. The tension, the intensity, the sheer audacity of what was claimed, it gripped viewers. In a short span of time, social media exploded with reactions, shares, and heated debates. There was a sense of collective disbelief, the feeling that something monumental, perhaps even scandalous, had just unfolded before the world. But when you take a deep breath and look carefully at the evidence, a very different picture begins to emerge. On one side, there is Jasmine Crockett, a young, fiercely outspoken congresswoman from Texas. Her rise in politics has been marked by bold statements, a no-nonsense approach to legislation, and a willingness to speak truth to power. She has a sharp mind and an even sharper tongue, which has made her both admired and feared in political circles. People expect her to challenge the status quo and call out hypocrisy wherever she sees it. That reputation makes her a magnetic figure for social media narratives, especially ones that promise drama or confrontation with high-profile figures. On the other side is Ivanka Trump, the daughter of a former president, a figure steeped in both privilege and public scrutiny. Everything about her life has been watched and dissected, her career moves, her personal relationships, even the clothes she wears. That kind of constant observation creates fertile ground for rumors, sensationalized stories, and outright fabrications. When a dramatic headline connects someone like Crockett to someone like Ivanka, the internet leaps to attention, almost instinctively. The story in the viral clip is framed as a moment of shocking revelation, one that would shake the foundations of a family that has always lived in the public eye. It promises a confrontation, a verbal explosion, a revelation so extraordinary that the room itself erupts. People want to believe it. The human brain is wired to respond to drama, especially when it involves familiar, high-profile figures. And the clip delivers all the emotional triggers. The tension, the anticipation, the implied conflict, the sheer improbability of the moment. It is the perfect storm for virality. Yet, when you look beyond the surface, the foundation of this story is fragile. A thorough search of credible news outlets, official transcripts, and verified video footage yields no evidence that such an encounter ever took place. There is no verified video of Crockett confronting Ivanka Trump, no reputable news article documenting a heated exchange, and no primary source confirming that a marriage bomb of any kind was ever dropped. What exists are fragments, social media posts, repackaged clips, satirical reinterpretations, and AI-generated content that has been passed off as real. Each piece alone seems innocuous, but together they form a web of illusion, convincing enough to make people suspend disbelief. The spread of this story is emblematic of the modern information ecosystem, where emotion often outweighs verification. People share what makes them gasp, what makes them angry, what makes them laugh, sometimes without pausing to consider whether it is true. The viral clip, whether intentionally or not, taps into these impulses perfectly. It offers all the ingredients of a story people want to talk about: confrontation, high stakes, recognizable figures, and an air of forbidden knowledge. It whispers, "You are witnessing something extraordinary, something no one else is seeing." That whisper is powerful. It moves people to click, to share, to comment. Digging deeper, we see how the clip likely came to be. It is part satire, part dramatization, and part clever repackaging. Some versions carry disclaimers marking them as fictional or comedic. Others have been repurposed by content aggregators who thrive on clicks, resharing snippets with sensational titles and embellishments. The human tendency to connect dots, even when those dots were never connected in reality, allows these narratives to take on a life of their own. People who are only casually aware of the political figures involved may assume the story is true, particularly when the presentation is polished and the emotions are palpable. The emotional intensity in reactions to the clip is not trivial. Some viewers express shock, outrage, or amusement, sometimes all at once. Others dissect it with near obsessive attention, debating the plausibility of every word and gesture. This collective engagement is a kind of social proof, reinforcing the illusion of authenticity. When thousands of people are sharing, commenting, and debating, it creates the impression that something monumental has happened, even when nothing verifiable occurred. The human mind is susceptible to this kind of herd validation, particularly in the age of rapid digital communication. It is also worth considering why the story resonates so strongly on a deeper level. The narrative taps into universal themes: power, family dynamics, and the tension between public persona and private reality. The idea of a young, principled politician confronting someone emblematic of wealth and influence appeals to a sense of justice and drama. It feels like a moral story, a David versus Goliath moment, even if it never actually happened. That emotional resonance explains why the clip spread so fast, why it is repeated across platforms, and why it is believed by many despite the absence of evidence. Yet, understanding the power of the emotional narrative does not excuse the absence of verification. Responsible consumption of information requires discernment, patience, and sometimes skepticism. The viral clip serves as a case study in the importance of critical thinking in the digital age. It shows how easily a combination of familiar figures, evocative language, and emotional triggers can produce a story that feels real, even when it is entirely constructed. Recognizing these patterns is essential, not only to avoid being misled, but to understand how our emotions can be manipulated online. This story also illustrates the challenges faced by public figures in the digital era. For someone like Ivanka Trump, or anyone constantly in the media spotlight, even fabricated moments can affect public perception. For Crockett, the viral framing of her persona may amplify her public voice, but it also risks distorting her actual actions and statements. Both individuals become part of a narrative ecosystem they cannot fully control, and the emotional intensity of the public response magnifies the stakes. In this sense, the clip is not just a story. It is a mirror reflecting how society consumes, reacts to, and amplifies drama in the absence of facts. At the same time, the story underscores the enduring allure of spectacle. Humans are drawn to moments that promise conflict, revelation, or justice. The clip succeeds because it offers all three. It dramatizes personalities we recognize and contrasts them in a way that satisfies curiosity and entertains simultaneously. Even when we intellectually understand that the events may be fabricated, there is a visceral thrill in imagining them. That thrill drives engagement, discussion, and social amplification, creating a feedback loop that ensures the story lives far longer than it deserves. The implications of this phenomenon are broad. Social media platforms, news aggregators, and individual users all play a role in perpetuating emotionally charged but unverified content. Algorithms reward engagement, not truth, which means stories like this can spread exponentially. Meanwhile, fact-checkers and skeptical observers must work against the tide, highlighting gaps in evidence, providing context, and reminding the public to distinguish between speculation, satire, and verified events. The emotional resonance of the story often outpaces the corrective mechanisms, highlighting a fundamental tension in modern media. What we feel and what is real are not always aligned. Ultimately, this episode is less about a single confrontation between two public figures and more about the psychology of virality, the power of emotion in shaping perception, and the fragility of truth in the digital age. The viral clip demonstrates how narratives can be constructed to feel authentic, how audiences can be drawn into them, and how a combination of fame, dramatic language, and emotional triggers can create a story that spreads faster than verification can keep up. It is a lesson in both caution and fascination, a reminder of the power of story, even when that story is entirely imagined. The lesson extends to everyone who consumes information online. Pause before you click, before you share, before you react. Ask yourself why a story feels compelling. Consider whether the evidence exists beyond the social media post. Recognize that emotional intensity is often used as a tool to capture attention. By practicing discernment, we can navigate the flood of content more thoughtfully, distinguishing between what is real, what is embellished, and what is entirely fabricated. The viral moment involving Jasmine Crockett and Ivanka Trump, whether it truly happened or not, is a profound illustration of this challenge. In the end, the clip endures not because it documents a real event, but because it captures the imagination. It shows the interplay of power, emotion, and narrative in our digital age, revealing as much about the audience as it does about the purported subjects. And perhaps that is the most striking aspect. The viral story says more about who we are and what we crave in our media diet than about the political figures themselves. It is a story born from desire, amplified by emotion, and sustained by collective fascination. Even in its absence of truth, it achieves a kind of reality in the minds and conversations of those who engage with it. A reminder that sometimes perception and emotion outweigh the facts themselves. This version flows as a single emotional narrative, diving into psychology, media dynamics, and social context while keeping the storytelling immersive. If you want, I can also expand it further with more anecdotes, social media reactions, and direct analysis of Crockett's and Trump's public personas to reach an even more detailed 4,000 to 5,000 word version. Do you want me to do that next?